You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 136, an epic interview with Erik Larsen.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that was doing its income taxes and realized they forgot to pay their car taxes last year. This isn't a joke. This is a real problem Jim has to deal with. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Mark Welzer.
And I'm Simon Mallet St. Pierre.
Hey, Simon. Thanks for joining us. Craig couldn't be here for this episode, so Simon stepped in to help us out. This is, of course, the Savage FINcast, the internet's only Savage Dragon and Erik Larsen exclusive podcast. This is going to be a pretty short intro and news segment because we've got a big hour and a half Erik Larsen interview for all you Fin heads out there. So we're going to get right into that news. Simon, you've been on before. We've interviewed you before as part of the Super Freaks. Anything you want to say about yourself? Just to remind everybody who you are.
Just a very long time fan of Savage Dragon, Erik Larsen, from day one. I collaborated here and there and got a few pages in this one, 275, that we're about to talk about. And that's it.
Yeah, we will get into that for sure
right
when we get into the interview. So, news, Savage Dragon news. Nothing Savage Dragon news to report. As I said earlier, we were exclusively Savage Dragon news, but we are going to plug people who are Savage Dragon adjacent. So we got new Kickstarters for friends of the show, sometimes co-host, Scott James, and also Ken Albury. They've got Kickstarters for Juice Man #9 and Salvage She-Newt #9 going on right now. Both Kickstarters basically started the same day, so they both have, at the time of recording, 28 days to go, which I think is about halfway into February. I hope to have this episode up soon, so you should still have at least 20 days to get them backed if you want to get those issues. You can look up on Kickstarter search for Juice Man #9 for Scott James's book, and Salvage She-Newt #9 for Ken Albury's. They are working real hard on these books. They are putting in the work, getting them out there. They need the backing to get them printed.
Highly recommended.
Yeah, they're both big fans of Erik Larsen and Savage Dragon, and I think fans of this book are going to find something that they enjoy about She-Newt as well as Juice Man.
So, yeah, we wanted to pass that along. As I said, this is going to be a pretty brief intro because we got a big interview now. So I'm just going to say, without further ado, going into the interview, enjoy. Thank you for listening to the Savage FINcast. As always, you can send us emails at savagefincast@gmail.com. With any questions or comments. We still got outstanding Finteresting conversation for last episode. We will handle on our next episode. So, on to the interview.
Roll it, Jim.
All right. And we are joined by the one and only Erik Larsen, who we only just realized, I don't think we've actually had you on to do an interview in like 2 years, Erik. And I'm sorry about that. I think we had a little powwow at the Mohegan Sun last summer, and I thought it was an interview. And forgot to have you on an actual interview last year.
Oh, well. Well, I missed you guys, if that means anything.
Yeah, we haven't had you on since the Paul issue. That was longer ago than I recalled.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago. So much has happened.
Yeah, so much. And so much happens in this particular issue, 275 as well. I guess right off the bat, just some general questions of the time we've missed. You've gone through a couple of experiments. You were digitally drawing for a little while, and then you went back to drawing it regular.
Yeah, yeah. I screwed around right around the Paul issue, and the issue after that, what was that? 266, I think, maybe the only one that's entirely digital from stem to stern.
Yeah.
Although I did recycle a couple images from other actually inked issues. But yeah, I just decided I hated it. So
Well,
it's like, okay, this is saving me no time at all, and I'm just a miserable guy doing it. So back
Hey.
to paper.
you tried. That's all you can say.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely lends itself to doing things like taking something that's a photograph and drawing on top of it. Like my cars got suddenly pretty good.
They were too good.
Yeah, and like suddenly when I'm drawing real places, they kind of look like those real places. Like, oh wow, cable car looks like a cable car.
And I can understand the desire for that to have it look a little bit more like reality rather than the more abstract. But I do agree. I think most of us kind of noticed, and it kind of stood out to us.
Yeah, there's that and all. But it is weird because I'm sitting there going, I'm setting this in San Francisco. It doesn't, when I'm not using reference, it looks nothing like San Francisco. It just doesn't look anything like anything. So does anybody care? I think, unless I'm drawing something and saying, hey, look, it's Coit Tower, and it looks nothing like Coit Tower, I think generally people are going to be like, okay, I don't recognize that building, but it looks like a building, so we're good.
Right. I even during Chicago era, I mean, never really seemed anything like specifically Chicago, and I don't think any of us had a problem with it then.
There were lots of skyscrapers in Chicago in Savage Dragon.
Yeah. Well, more than there ought to be. And same with San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco's not like a huge sprawling metropolis, but you wouldn't know it.
Did it take some getting used to try to draw like less of a giant city when you're doing like outdoor scenes like that in San Francisco versus Chicago to kind of tone it down? We're just on autopilot at that point.
I'm just
There's
kind
a
of
bunch
on
buildings.
autopilot.
Yeah.
The only thing I really make a conscious effort to think about is there are hills here, more hills than I think of when I think of Chicago. So, try to have things be a little more as though they're on a hill on occasion. But that's kind of about it. I haven't really gone crazy with landmarks, especially lately.
Well, I think the issue you did where you had him hit all the landmarks and you showed them all, that's pretty much all you need. It's basically your establishing shot for the rest of the issues that are coming up after that, right?
I'll go with that.
That is kind of the way I took it, is that you got the establishing issue in lieu of needing an establishing shot every time you go somewhere else in the follow-ups.
Oh, good enough.
So, 274, last issue,
Yeah.
a lot happens concerning Angel and Glum.
Yeah, but just to a handful of characters. I mean, there's no other stuff.
And I think that makes it a very unique issue. We don't usually get such a laser focus on, especially non-dragon characters. And I think we all really appreciated that when we reviewed it last episode. Did you get much feedback yet about that from like letters and such?
Yeah, there's always been some, except for that one issue where I got like one piece of mail and it was not worth printing. But that was a long time ago. it seems like ever since then, there's been a few folks who have kind of taken it into like, okay, I need to send in a letter because we can't have that happen again.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, there's not, you can't really go on about all the other characters when you're writing in about that particular issue. So like the issue, all the letters are fairly laser focused on what went on there. And there's a certain amount of repetition, but it's like, oh well, what can you do?
So Craig was wondering, we have a list of questions from Craig, by the way, because he's not here, unfortunately. Okay. So he was wondering, was getting Angel and Glum back together in this form kind of the plan all along, or did it just kind of fall that way?
It kind of fell that way. A lot of what I do is pretty spontaneous, and I'm kind of going, okay, well, what would be the coolest for the long term if I set this up? What can I build off of? And so that ended up being the thing. Like, okay, I can go someplace with this. Like, having Lil Angel around in some form is kind of nice to be able to go, okay, well, I can still do the Angel and Mr. Glum kind of thing a little bit with those two. And I can still have the adult Angel in there, and then it can just seem kind of weird for a while.
Yeah. But that's what we like. We like it weird.
Agreed.
That is part of the reason we read the book.
Well, good, because there's plenty more of that in store.
So you've been cranking these issues out these last few months. It's actually been very impressive. You've been getting them out faster than monthly, nearly. The turnaround, especially on 275. We always get worried when the big 100-pagers come around.
Yeah.
We know they can be a song and dance in the background. It can lead to delays. But this one seems to have come together fairly easy. Well, not easy, but it came together fairly quickly.
Well, yeah, it helped that I was working with some responsible people who could actually get their stuff done. So that's always nice. Yeah, I've just had in other cases where I've worked with folks who couldn't get their act together. It's been like, all right, how do I scramble to fill these pages, and how do I make it work, and all that stuff. And I go through fits of, I can get this issue out in a week, and then other times of, this issue's taking me 4 months. What's happening to me? I wish it were more steady and predictable, but I do seem to kind of go through periods of feast and famine in that regard.
I see. How are you feeling about the next issue? How far are you getting along on that one?
Yeah, what's the progress report?
Oh, you're laughing.
I had, just because I couldn't get my act together in terms of solicitations, the next ones can't be out until March, because there was no issue was solicited for February. So I solicited 2 for March. So hopefully, fingers crossed that those all come together.
So that means you're caught up on solicitations, right? You're everything's up to date as far as comic shops go.
Yeah, I mean, I can't get my shit together. That's just I try not to solicit things that I can't deliver on, but
there's also there's also the archives and the essential collections and everything, so that must get in the way.
Yeah, that last one, the ultimate one, those hardcovers are such a pain in the ass. That did come right after working on 275, so that kind of took a chunk out of whatever lead time I had. But that's behind me now, as is Savage Dragon Archives 11 is essentially behind me as well.
So there's another Ultimate coming out. The work's all done.
Yeah, well, there's another hardcover coming out, the third one, and then the next Archives, which is the black and white book that takes us up through 275. That will be solicited here shortly. But I've been making black and white versions of the issues as I do them.
Right.
So when it came time to solicit that, it was just, okay, how many pages do I have? What can I do to make this work? And it gets a little weird because you have to think in terms of just when you are printing, you need to print, signatures are this big. So if you've got 16-page signatures and you're sitting there going, I got 16-page signatures, I can't. So it ends up, there'll be situations where I've got 3 more covers than I have room for. That means I got to come up with 13 pages more additional material if I want to have those 3 pages of cover show up. So
do the extra 30 or extra 10 or 12 pages in this issue cause issues too?
Yeah, I mean, they do. It does. I mean, if this had been a 30-page story instead of 32, that would have made that the next book fit nicely. It would have been nice and snug. But as it is, I'm sitting there going, okay, well, what pinups have shown up in those issues, and can those turn to black and white, and what else could possibly be slotted in there that might work? So we'll see. We'll see. There's always a workaround. I can always do the hey kids, free paper route and just have the last 6 pages be nothing. But
I always find this interesting, the actual manufacturing process of this stuff.
It's a bear, and that's kind of an issue I have kind of on a monthly basis with people doing backups and stuff like that, and just going, hey, what about if can I do a 9-page backup? Like, well, there's not really room for 9-page backup. You'd have to roll onto the back cover, or I'd have to shorten my story or something.
It's a valuable lesson in space economy.
So, yeah,
I heard that.
Stuff I have to keep in mind all the time, but.
Well, with this issue, we had seen reprints of your 24-hour comic and the Samson story from Fantastic Comics. We were just talking a couple issues ago, like Eric doesn't have much else that he can reprint.
Yeah,
He's running out of stuff, but I know there's still like Jack Champion, and do you know what else you still have that you'd like to use in the future?
Well, I could always dust off the Prism story I did for that, continued from Graphic Fantasy #1. It's like, here's something that's ancient, that has characters that barely appeared in Savage Dragon. Those exist. Some of the really old stuff, I'm kind of iffy on if it should appear at all, because some of it is exceptionally terrible. But I mean, the only good thing about that is it's good for people who are saying, "Oh, your old stuff was better," and then I can be like, "Oh yeah,
right?
How about this old stuff?" Like, all right, well, it's maybe not better than that, but
your older stuff was older, right?
My older stuff was problematic. But yeah, I am kind of running out. am kind of running out of stuff, unless I start going, hey kids, remember issue 1? Here it is.
Yeah.
It is with brand new, different colors again.
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, at this point, all those really, really early issues are like these are 32 years old. Having them show up again is not terrible, but I'd rather not. That doesn't strike me as, hey, super cool 300 issue backup.
Right.
One of the earlier issues in the same series. Cool.
Well, one of the things about 100-page giants in the old days was that they would reprint old stories.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is those old reprints, they had 20 pages of new material and 80 pages of ads and reprints.
Right. But of course, they didn't already have archive lines and ultimate editions to
Right.
fill that void.
A lot harder to find.
That's true. So, I mean, most of my 100-page issues have had some amount of old material. I think issue 100 doesn't.
No, that was all the new backups by the different inkers, I believe.
Yeah.
I think 115 might have also been all original.
Yeah, 115 was all original. It seems like there was another that was, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's with those 2 issues that had those graphic fantasy stories, and then I had those Megaton stories. I mean, the thing is that I've done stuff for some other publishers and stuff, and I have to just contact them and say, hey, can I run this terrible thing? But it would be so unrelated, I'm not sure that anybody would be super excited to see it.
I'd like to see some of that AC stuff again, or DN agents or something really off the wall. But anyway, I understand the trepidation of doing that. So I think we should get into 275, the content. It's a pretty crazy issue, Eric. We got to say, a lot of surprises here. Right off the bat, was the plan always to pull the rug out of the SOS if the election went that way?
I kind of didn't want to have every issue be dealing with government assholes. So, I mean, my last time I just moved him to Canada. This time I'm thinking, all right, well, I don't really want to do that again, because it just seems like we just got back.
Right.
So, all right, how can I dance around this? And so part of that was, let's get him out of being government stooges and see what I can do with him. But yeah, it was fairly last minute where I just decided, screw this.
Yeah,
I kind of assembled that team, and then once I done a couple stories that barely had them, it suddenly was, I don't really like these guys. It's like the 2 Johnson boys seem fairly colorless, and other than the visual gag of the 2 girls squirting out goo, there's not a lot there, and it's like I guess I could build something from nothing and turn them into something, but I don't seem to have a lot to say about those characters, at least right now. So if I can just kind of scoot them out of here, it seems like suddenly Angel and her family got really interesting, and Malcolm's got an unholy brood to begin with. So that's a fair amount of characters just to be juggling.
Got to admit, when Freak Force appears, it does kind of put into contrast this group versus the SOS group you've assembled. Just how much more visually interesting Freak Force is.
Yeah. I mean, they are pretty cool.
They are very cool.
Yeah,
I thought when I saw the solicitation for 275 with them going to Russia, I was under the impression it was going to be like an SOS mission.
Oh, yeah.
I think most of us thought that.
Yeah, well,
You always keep
again,
us guessing.
the whole election thing kind of threw that out the window, because it's like I know there were sympathies with Putin and all this other bullshit, so it's like I don't think I can have that be an official thing. If it would still if it was the other administration, then it's like, okay, this may have made some sense, but
Right.
right, it's like, what do I do here? But
This Trump administration is putting monkey wrenches in everyone's plans now. Apparently, even our comic books.
yeah. Well,
There we go.
Well, yeah. I mean, and the thing with dealing with him in the comic is he's such a wild card that you're like, I don't know what to expect. You know, I mean, this guy could choke on a cheeseburger and be gone in 2 months.
Right.
Or any number of things. We may be, invading Panama in a month, or any other crazy thing. So
Or Canada.
Yeah, or Canada, or Greenland, or any it's all insane, and every day there's some other horror that rears its ugly head. It's like, oh, really? You want to take the Constitution off the internet, huh? Well, that's cool. That doesn't concern me at all. Huh, weird.
Can I ask a really
the kind of go ahead?
I was going to say, can I ask a really dumb question, Eric?
All right.
Is President Shits and Pants a joke Malcolm's making, or did you decide Trump isn't president in this universe?
No, Trump is president.
Okay.
He's also referred to
Agent Orange.
as Agent Orange, yeah, by Joseph Strange.
Ah, correct. Okay.
So-
I thought you were sidestepping the issue, but it's still funny.
No,
Shits and
it'll
Pants was a
still be-
nickname that
it'll
is-
still be Trump. I don't want to show Trump.
Fair enough. Completely
But,
understandable.
right.
Yeah, I'm done looking at them too, right?
So I think I'll probably just use some other euphemism for his name throughout the series if it comes up even at all.
So now you have to have a whole list of pet names for Malcolm and Maxine, and a list of pet names for our president.
Yeah. Get a running tally going. Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly thinking of pet names and Josh Eichhornisms, and I'm loading into my phone. It's like, okay, that's a good one for Josh. But
It's just a list of names. You have to figure out who they best belong to. Is that what the problem is?
in terms of no, usually Josh ones are very Josh specific, and usually those wouldn't apply that well because they're often longer and more descriptive.
With titles, right?
Yeah, right. Like whatever. I don't know.
No, you're right. Let's. Well, do we want to talk about our new Super Patriot then?
Well, we can get into that. Yeah, I mean, the big one of several revelations in this
There's
issue.
many.
is that-
Yeah.
there's like 3 or 4. Super Patriot, Johnny Armstrong, looks pretty final. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Pretty cool thing you did with the armor coming off of him, and I know in the past we have seen the armor kind of move when he's unconscious, but that can crawl off of him. That's new. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that he just was with. He just got his update from Joseph Strange, so that Joseph was probably.
Yeah.
if something comes up and my kid's in danger, protect him.
I hadn't even thought about that context. You
Damn.
did totally have that in the Joseph Strain conversation.
So,
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind either.
Very cool, or very interesting.
yeah.
But I mean, he's gets a hole blasted through him. Granted, this guy, does he have a name? This Armstrong kid, I forget his name, or Strange. This
Theo.
Yeah,
Theo.
Yeah, I made the mistake. I should have made him something that sounded a little more like all-American kind of name, but it's like, oh shit, I'm stuck with Theo.
Theo Strange.
Yeah, I mean, even if he had still been Joseph and go by Joe, it's like, all right, he's an all-American Joe, but Theodore's a little weird.
And I don't know if you have plans to give him a new look or not, but the way he looks now, just without a costume, just the shoulder pads and the crotch piece, he looks sharp.
Yeah, I like the look. I think he could probably, use regular Super Patriot's mask over that, and just keep the metal chest and a little bit of the flesh showing at his neck or whatever. But yeah, it's not a bad look as looks go. He's just a little chewed up looking.
It's just nice to see, not to see that yellow shirt anymore. I think that was like the one element of Super Patriot's costume that just never seemed to fit.
Yeah, it's a little big and blank. Yeah, well,
I never minded it. And that the new quote unquote new Super Patriot. I mean, that's huge. I don't know if that's a long time coming, if that's the way to say it.
Yeah, that was a long time coming. I mean, I was just watching the calendar on the wall and just going, shit, he's 100 now. Like, how long can I realistically keep this guy in the fight? I understand that some of these characters have, these powers, or they're immortal or whatever, and I could give him some transfusion or something, but he's still old as hell. So it just seemed like, okay, at some point I got to do this. I had set up in 266, I think, that Joseph's son was mentioned and that he was in Iraq. I think Paul was asking, hey, how's your boy doing? And so we just got so really right around then, that's when I was thinking, okay, well, Joseph Strange was a bionic man before in my old continuity. Having his son, he was either going to be Joseph Strange himself picking up the reins, or some other character, but it's like, let me make it his son, so I don't have to deal with this problem again of having
another old guy. Yeah.
Because Joseph's, I guess his age is somewhat ill-defined, but he's got to be at least as old as Paul Dragon is, and Paul's in his early 60s. So, what are you gonna do, man?
It is kind of interesting to me, kind of funny to me that it's Barbaric and Ricochet are like the last two original Freak Force members left.
Yeah, and they were the kids before, and now they're old.
Yeah.
It's like, I'd have to look it up, but I think Ricochet's got to be.
She was like, that was the whole thing. She was underage, right? Back in the day, she was like 17 or 16 or something. She couldn't be a cop because of that.
Yeah, and now she's ancient. So what are you gonna do?
Well, she looks great for an elderly woman, right?
Yeah, she's looking all right. So
I was going to say, they're fighting zombies with guns. which is great.
Yeah, that was kind of a joke. A buddy of mine, we would always drive by this graveyard on the way to go get cheeseburgers, and it was a graveyard for like soldiers and stuff, and we kept riffing on, hey, if there's a zombie apocalypse, those guys are pretty well trained, and just going, God, why did we bury them with their weapons? We're such fools. We laughed anyway.
I love it. Super Patriot mentioned the Reanimator. And I forget, is that a new name here? Or?
Yeah, it's just whatever this dork was that I'm having him punch. It's in both of these situations. I didn't want the villains that they're fighting to necessarily be people that readers would be going, oh, that guy looks cool. What's his story? What's he all about? And that has been a problem in the past. In that and sometimes you just want a guy in a brown suit to be a guy in a brown suit. Whenever Spider-Man would tackle 40 bank robbers, you're not sitting there going, oh, what's his story? I'd like to know more about him. He's a snappy dresser, that guy. In Dragon, it's always been, hey, here comes the villains, and you'd be like, wow, there's like 14 cool guys here. What are they all about? And so I've tried over the years to at least have there be a few that I'm like, all right, let's not have this guy be a conversation piece by just going, he's one of the undead. This character over here, he's just a Nazi. Whatever, and he's just some bald dude. Who cares?
but that is saying something, that you have to forcefully try to make your characters boring. You know what I mean?
Less interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because they will though. They'll be like, oh, there must be a story here.
Well, the designs are cool, So you got to be asking questions.
It's the Boba Fett effect, right? I mean, he was never supposed to be like
anything.
A big deal in Star
Right.
Wars, and then everybody just wanted more and more, and then they gave us more, and he sucked.
Sometimes a guy is just a cool helmet.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Well, now the problem is you gave him the name Reanimator, so everyone's gonna be like, well, we got to see what he looks like now.
I'm assuming that weird dude with the horns and the mustache is whoever.
Yeah, the loincloth guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the guy. Okay.
he kind of sucks too. So he's kind of got purple skin and some kind of skin condition and a weird mustache, and it's like he doesn't really look like the kind of guy who'd be animating zombies. But okay, whatever.
See, that all sounds interesting. Like, I want to know more.
Someone's gonna do a backup for him eventually.
Peanut, at least.
Someone is welcome to him.
Do we want to talk about backups, or do you want to keep talking about?
Well, we need to talk about
a little more.
We got to talk about the other elephant in the room.
There's a lot of stuff to cover in this book still.
There's still so much.
The Finn is back.
Yeah, that's true.
Paul has evolved into his back into his original form.
Yeah, and also it looks like Nikos kind of got confused in the next panel because his coloring looks a little bit too much like Malcolm.
Oh, that's a red shirt. Well, they both wear red shirts. I think that might be
Yeah,
the
they're
issue.
both wearing red shirts. They both have blue pants, but his skin is looking a little too close to Malcolm in that panel.
He's also got two toes. Yeah, and he's also talking about. Yeah, it's definitely his dialogue. Yeah, he's a little bit not as bright green.
It's like, oh shit. Oh well, something to fix in the trade.
No, it's fun. I mean, I'm one of the people who likes Paul's Finn, but I can imagine it's just not as cool as a regular one.
Yeah, well, I mean, kind of the idea from the beginning was, all right, I'm going to bring this guy in, and then in 275 I'll be like I had it in mind that was going to be the next thing, and then at that point he comes back looking like that. Everybody's going to assume, well, this must be Dragon we know and love. Let's interview him, even though this was, I don't know, necessarily his mission. And it's Malcolm's book, and now we've got this guy who's suddenly getting all the attention. We'll see how that plays out. I think there can be some fun things that happen along those lines.
Malcolm refers to him as Dad, and Angel refers to him as Dragon.
Yeah.
Like pretty quickly.
Well, it's like, holy crap, what's Dad doing here? He just shows up looking like him. It's like, whoa.
Definitely.
What's this all about?
At this point, many times as he's come back to life, they wouldn't be super surprised to see him come back again, right?
Yeah, I guess they might. I don't know that the world is probably like, hey, superheroes come back all the time. So
right.
Here we are. What are you doing back? Hey, where did you go when you died? What was going on there? It's like, no. I'm the same dude, but I've got a proper fin now instead of that little croissant or whatever that was.
I wasn't sure at this point if Paul could actually handle the blood.
Yeah, it was weird because I think there must be enough of him in there that it seems like that would make some sense, that it would that he wouldn't just explode.
Right, it would stick. It would work on him like it works on Malcolm when he's depowered.
Yeah, but I don't know. When Dragon, what happened with Dragon? He lost his stuff and became, I don't remember.
Well, if I remember,
he got negated in 190.
Yeah, he got negated, right?
Right. Well, he lost his powers in two different ways. He got negated, which took away his chosen one abilities, but he was still strong, so he didn't have his healing abilities. He was still strong though. Then he had all of his abilities taken away.
Yeah, he sat in a chair, right?
Yeah.
But did Dragon proper ever get freaked out or no?
No, I don't think so. I think he only ever got negated by negate. Or
okay.
No, I think it was a combination. On the chair, I think it was taking away his chosen one abilities. He just went to being
but I think
at that point.
I think if Dragon had, if he had gotten, just, hey, get out, and let's, choke out as much sperm as you can so we can make 1 million babies, and then we're going to give you your powers back. I think he probably would have exploded at that point from his own blood.
Yeah,
because that's how he dies, though, right?
Yes, that is how he died. That's exactly how he died.
Yeah, well, he
got Malcolm's blood.
He got Malcolm's blood.
Yeah.
But regardless.
So were you saying that with all the kids that he fathered, from all the Krillin kids, that there might be another chosen one in the mix somewhere?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because his powers have been taken away.
Right.
That was the goal, right? They didn't want a bunch of chosen one babies. They wanted regular Krylins.
Yeah, well, they were also going, we have a chosen one, and it's Malcolm. He's sitting right here.
True.
We don't need there to be 6 chosen ones all fighting it out.
Anything else about the issue, guys? Anyone got any specifics? I think we covered most of it.
Well, there was I like it's not that interesting or whatever. I just really noted that everybody is kind of condescending towards Angel prior to the mission, but she really takes command. I think that was something of note.
Yeah. I like her.
I like Angel. I think she's my favorite character in the book, I'll be honest.
Nice.
And
you say that now, but wait until the Reanimator shows up.
I'll give him
Also-
3 issues, and you'll be like, whoa, 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 I take it back. He's my favorite now.
It's been a while since we had like a cliffhanger ending like this one.
Yeah, that's all. You owe that to Robert Kirkman. Because he was giving me grief about, hey, you used to do these cliffhangers all the time. How come you don't do those anymore? And it's like, all right. Guess I'll start doing those again. It's like I listen to people too much, probably. He also was, at one point he had given me a, like, I don't like it when you put page numbers on your pages, because then in my head I'm sitting there thinking, oh, he's on page 16, he's got to wrap this up.
Right.
So it's like, all right, I guess I'll get rid of page numbers. I thought it was all right, but
I never minded them.
yeah.
But I can understand that it kind of kills anticipation sometimes. But
It's just a countdown. Yeah.
I think they're kind of, comic classic. I mean, page numbers have always been in comics.
Yeah, I mean they depends who's, they come and go. It seems. But anyway, whatever.
I find like page numbers are helpful when you have several people working on on the same stories. When you guys did the Fantastic Four, World's Greatest Comics magazine, and it had the credits like so and so inked this page and so inked this page, but none of the pages had numbers on them. So I was like, what the fuck? Which one did this guy do? So you're there counting the pages. Like, I guess this is the one here.
Yeah, we to make it really authentic, we should have put page numbers on the pages. Oh well, next time.
I don't usually do these interviews, so I got a lot of grievances I got to pick with you, Eric. So you're going to get them all out of my chest now.
Okay.
All right.
We're gonna hit the hard hitting questions, the ones other people don't ask. Like, what was it like starting Image Comics, and do you miss drawing Spider-Man? You don't have to answer that.
It was pretty great.
Oh, there you go. Finally, on record, we've got him.
Actually, here's a question that I'm sure you never thought of. How many toes did Paul have? Did he have 10 toes?
He had 2.
Paul had 2.
He also had 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's why the blood worked.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, there's enough dragon in there. When Fonte pulled him apart, it was mostly him, but some reason the healing factor didn't stick around. I don't know why that works, but whatever.
It works. You said it works. It works.
It works.
Yeah,
we're good.
I mean, a lot of this stuff, if you scrutinize it too much, it's like it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. The whole Dimension X, like everybody's hanging out in space and they can talk and breathe. What's that all about? And you can just throw them onto a planet and then they're stuck there? Why? I don't understand.
Gravity.
How come they can land on a planet and not be dead? And that seems to be fine. How come they're not walking around like they're on the moon where they're jumping and such? I don't, if you can pick this all apart and then it's like, well, look, now comics are no fun at all. It's like, congratulations.
It's the fun of comics is nothing makes sense and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. It's like, well, how can that character's costume stay up? How can they fight crime in that? It's like, because I drew them that way.
Anything else about the issue? I think we've pretty much covered 275. Do we want to talk some about the backups? About,
No.
No? Okay.
Well, Simon gave me credit for the story on this thing, but I didn't. I just kind of gave him a real basic rundown on what happens. He wrote all the dialogue, I think.
It was a collaborative thing.
It was a collaborative thing, but I don't. Is there even a line of dialogue that is like, I totally wrote that?
No.
Well, I know historically, story would often be credited different than dialogue on comics. So,
Yeah, but the thing with the story credit here, especially just to make a long story short, this was based on an old Thunderhead pitch that I sent to Eric. Rightfully so, he came back with some notes saying that there wasn't any enough consequential actions happening, the story beats and stuff like that. So I got an email a few months later asking about 275, and I had no idea that this was maybe considered for 275. So I was, oh damn, all right. And I was heading to New York anyway, so I said, let's just chat about it in person and see what we can come up with. And Eric afterwards, he sent me all these story beats with having like more villains involved, and Eric sent me an image of a samurai. He's like, yeah, I can draw that. And afterwards, I was stressing out because I cannot draw that. But,
no one can tell. It looks fine. You guys have to remind me anytime I get the occasion, and thanks again, Eric, by the way. Anytime I get an occasion to be in Savage Dragon, we tend to do like these comics in a bubble. So, all right, I'm going to do this thing. And every time I end up having a page right after a dynamic Erik Larsen full color spread, and here's Simon with monotone colors. And hey, kids, it's such a contrast. It's, damn it, like the fan base is not going to like this. And I think it's a welcome contrast. I think that's what makes it stand out more. It's
Yeah.
fun to see stuff that looks different.
I think it makes it work.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you guys saying that.
There's no confusion that's still part of the main story. It's very obviously a new story. No, it works.
It's I'll admit I do take a lot of real estate, and I would love to, if space wasn't an issue, get some more fighting in there or whatever. But I just can't not do a thing without having a proper setup before. People less familiar with Kevin, they need to know that he has like a low level job, kind of being picked on, that kind of thing, just to set up the tragedy that's coming ahead. Because I really like Kevin, and if whatever happens next to me, this is like kind of consequential for his wherever the story's going to take him afterwards.
But I like that, to have all of the stories be essential in a way. It's like, hey, this is actually moving these pieces on the chessboard. So that's, to me, is cool. It's like, oh, cool. So you've got all these guys doing backups, and it's not just this random, meaningless filler. It's actually, hey, this guy's life has changed, right, in the story, and now he's different.
I did not expect that there would be such a significant change, and I appreciate that because it reminds us all that these backups often matter.
Yeah. Well, I would prefer that they did.
Yeah.
But it kind of depends on who's doing it and what their special request is. Because I'll often give people some kind of a springboard for them to kind of deal with. But, they'll give me a list of, I want to draw a story with Hardus and Powerhouse, and could you put it in the jungle? It's like, shit. Give me a day to think about that.
I want to draw these characters, and I don't want to have to draw backgrounds with buildings and shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, all right, well, I'll have to think about that and come up with something.
I did more backgrounds for you guys this time around, though.
This is, I think, some of your best work that I've seen from you, Simon, honestly.
Damn, thank you. All right.
I was very pleased.
Well, thanks to all of you. I got a nice little kudos from a current image artist that reached out to me this morning, actually. So I was all right, cool. It's nice. I'm not one of his peers, so it's anyway, it's cool. It's flattering. I know it's not going to be for everybody. Obviously, I saw a review on YouTube the other day, which is like someone flipped through it in 5 seconds. Well, there you go. That's comics, man. That's how it is.
Well, that's what people do when they read it too. Yes, sir.
I understand that, but you know, a book that I really enjoy, I'll go back and just I read it. Like, a book like Dragon, I'll read pretty fast because I want to know the story. But and afterwards, you savor it like 5 or 6 times, and there's so much more to find out in the pages.
Well, thanks for that.
Oh yeah, for sure. So that's all I have to say, I guess, for my take on. Hopefully, Kevin will make it out somehow. There was also some people pointed out that I hate that we didn't give the samurai a name, but as he jumps through the absolutely non-perspective correct splash page, samurais have like 2 swords of different lengths.
Mm-hmm.
It would look cooler if he actually had blades that work, but I had to at least try to respect the whatever aesthetic.
Well, it's not too late to name him now. Now's the chance. Go, son.
Oh, I also messed up really bad. I was happy to do a backup in Dragon where I didn't have to worry about messing up the fin.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you can't unsee this now, but I messed up all the bolts, the direction of the lightning bolts on Kevin's head. Erik draws them going inward. All of my Kevins, they go like outward. I just can't unsee it. I noticed it in print. I was like, damn.
Jim, cut all of this out. Nobody has to hear this. Nobody wants to hear.
Nobody will ever know.
Talking about the stuff that they didn't like about the comics that they drew.
Right.
Well, I'll do that on occasion myself, where I'll look at Mr. Glum and notice that his scars or whatever those are suddenly are going a different direction. I'm like, shit, god damn it! But whatever. There's a panel in Hellboy where Mike Mignola put that stone hand on the wrong arm, so everybody's up somewhere.
Yeah, but you don't do it for 16 pages. But anyway, all right, it's done.
Well, that's fantastic. Well done. I didn't realize
thanks.
that you wrote it. Also, that's
no. It was we wrote it together. It was
So
just
you scripted it.
well,
You
scripted it. Yeah.
I to be honest,
But it was very much like a Stan Lee kind of plot, where we just kind of batted around the idea, and then you ran with it, and then it's like I didn't script it, so it's like, okay, beautiful.
This one's done. Yeah.
I hadn't even noticed till today when I'm sitting there looking at it, going, "What? I got credit for story? The hell?" I forget.
Oh no, because we had the backup, I think, in 269. You also had the larger plot for it, and you made me take that out, and you just gave me like the solo credit. Or was it with the kids in San Francisco?
What was it? Was that 269 or 267?
I did a lot of backups lately.
Is that the one with the robot guys?
Yeah. The kids in 269. Just to share a credit is awesome. Very good.
Yeah.
I don't know, like the people have been asking just, Erik says I ran with it, and every time I get an assignment from Erik, I don't waste time. It's just like, we'll figure it out later. We'll see. I was really expecting to have a lot of edits, not enough background, change this or that, and we just kind of let it be, which is good when you hand letter, because that takes a hell of a lot of time.
Yeah, well, I can do a little bit of moving letters around or adding commas if necessary, and I'll usually, when I will make an edit in somebody's stuff, I'll go, okay, well, I'll find it in their work somewhere so that it looks consistent.
Right. Do you have an idea what's next for Kevin, or is that spoiler territory?
I have no idea.
All right, I got some ideas.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I kind of was thinking afterward. The only thing I was thinking was he should get married to May, just so as a look. I'm taken, kind of thing, and then see where that ends up. Like she could be essentially crashing his wedding and making his life miserable in that way. Like, does anybody object? I do. It's like, okay. And now you're just as a samurai. Even more poorly researched. What the hell?
Yes. That I can do.
So, anyway.
All right, noted.
So speaking of backups, we also get this North Force one. I did not expect to see these guys again.
Yeah,
where did this come from?
They were in 267, but it was Scott wanted to do something to contribute, and I kind of was like, I should have these guys be in here a little bit more. I like them, and this the story of it seemed like it was told through the bios in the backs of the special that we had done already. And there was enough little pieces of it that I was like, this part could be illustrated, and that would be neat to see that played out.
It certainly is that.
I don't know that it adds a lot of stuff that we didn't already know. Right. But
I think just seeing it in visuals is worth it. Personally, I can see how being a prequel to something we were already told. It may not be the most, engaging new material, but I think seeing Scott draw it and bring it to life, I think is totally worth it.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And if you ever accumulate enough material, you got the origin story to put in the reprint or what have you.
There we go.
Yeah, I just assumed the origin story was just a way for you to let everyone know, like, look, these guys are still around, but don't expect a lot of new stories from them. So here's like their origin.
Yeah, well, there's stuff that I can do. If Donald Trump decides to send SOS up to Canada, well, they've got a fighting force up there to contend with.
Here we go.
There's somewhere they can crash. Yeah.
I do like them. I always like seeing North Force.
I think they're cool. So I was happy with that.
It's a shame that it felt like such a big deal was made out of them. They got their own special and bios, and then didn't really see a whole lot of them much after that.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit. I touched on them in 267. They were in there, and then they had their triumphant return with a parade and all. So we got a little bit, but there hasn't been any real solid new stories with them. Oh,
I'm okay. I'm okay with more North Force. I like it, and I'm not biased because I'm Canadian. Just.
You should have drawn this one then, Simon. You should have.
But I'm like French Canadian, so it's not even it's weirdness.
So like the gross kind of Canadian. Is that what that means?
No, but yeah, it's.
Are you annoyed you weren't properly represented in this team?
No, because we do have Jet on the team. He was born in Quebec.
Ah.
But you have to use the proper accent if ever you make him speak French, though. I can help with that.
All right, I'll put you to work
for the audio book. Yeah.
Yeah. No, because there's slang, it says like, well, you use Russian in 375 proper, so 275.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of people going to be annoyed at me for doing that.
It's fine. It looks good. I have to say for Scott's backup, this is I'm also I'm a Canadian bar owner, and I've never seen a bar look more Canadian. He drew all the perfect. Oh yeah, he drew all the perfect little cliches in the back. It's awesome.
Yeah, like Wolverine's right there. He's in every bar in Canada, right?
Of course, yeah, totally.
And Juice Man, all the way from Chicago. He's made his way up there.
Right there in the splash page.
Yeah, the double pager.
Double page, yeah.
Oh, was he in there?
He snuck him in.
It's again.
Yeah, there he is, son of a bitch.
I guess he could look Canadian. He's got a toucan, so.
There you go. All right, everybody, don your plaid. It's time to go out.
And then there was this Flash Mercury story showed up also.
So where'd that come from? Like, did that just turn up?
Joe Keating and Ryan have been doing these in the last few specials, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's true. They have been popping up in the 100 pagers. You're right. This is kind of continuing a trend.
Yeah, so it was picking up from there. I don't know what. I mean, even Ryan did a pinup in 267, even if Joe wasn't involved. So yeah, I guess it's just kind of a tradition. I don't know what I don't know how he's gonna deal with this in 300. He's kind of broken the whole team apart. But
I like it. It's like familiar territory for an anniversary issue. It was like be akin to seeing Desperate Times or.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to get all those guys, get the band back together for 300.
Do you have plans for 300 yet? I mean, as far as like backups and stuff, are you gonna do? Is it gonna be all new material?
In terms of backups, I don't have anything planned right now, other than pestering all the, folks who have done them before, and see if I can get a couple of those to return. And it'd be nice to have a Desperate Times.
Oh yeah,
after all these years.
That would
Dragon Bird.
Yeah, if we could do another Dragon Bird, I don't know if he's up for that, but I'll ask. It's like, come on, man.
You've got time.
Yeah,
to figure it out.
Yeah, I've got a little time. It's just getting everybody to get their stuff done and in can be a real pain in the ass. It just can be. And Simon knows that better than anybody, because he illustrated a story that I had sent out to 3 different artists, and they never got their shit together to do that. So yeah, that was super frustrating. That was
I did like a page or two of that one. I sent it over to Gavin, and I think it was just like, just keep going, just do the whole thing. All right, okay, cool. I'm not gonna be the 4th guy not to turn it in.
Yeah, that was just like, God.
And I'm so like, I don't want to speak with that one too long, but I've ignored so much of the script now that I read back at it again, thinking that we were gonna talk more about it. It was like, oh man, that last page, I should have put that in there. But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, that was fine. I was happy.
Good.
That was the Greta Gearbox story. I don't know, what issue was that in?
It wasn't so long ago.
Yeah, it was recent. It was like 2 issues ago.
Oh, was it that?
Yeah, hold on. I can actually scrub through real quick.
Was that the wedding issue?
I think it was 271.
I had a lot of involvement with Savage Dragon lately, so I get all the numbers mixed up. Like
yeah, whatever happened to Greta Gearbox was in 271.
271.
Whoa, that is recent.
Time flies.
Yeah, I've had 2 stories in the back of Dragon, and people are like, which issues were you in? I'm like, I shouldn't remember this, but I don't remember.
I remember like number 37 was my first letter page art.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I made it. I was maybe 16 at the time. Going on 45.
I remember the stuff that happens in the books, like in the main story, but like whose backup was in what issue, I can't remember. Unless it was like an anniversary one.
Uh-huh. I was at one point entertaining the thought of, I should do a book that just collects all the Deadly Duo stories. But it's like, I gotta chase down where all of these things are, and what issue have these been in, and I don't know if that would be a book that would. Is there an audience for that other than people on this phone call?
Right.
I mean, probably not. We'll buy them, but
yeah,
we'll buy an archive full of them.
Right. I don't know how many times am I going to buy the miniseries. 4 more times, probably. I'll keep buying it.
I'll keep buying. I'm good.
Whew.
What else? So revisiting this fantastic comic story. I mean, I loved the old Next Issue project. I thought it was such a great concept, and it's great to see this stuff again. That monstrous character, she came back, right? She was in
Yeah, she was in the Spawn? Savage Dragon Ant thing, which became I redrew and had as part of the Ant issue. So right, Ant 5. So yeah, she's been back. I should probably have her appear again at some point, unless she's dead. I'm never sure with a lot of these guys.
So
wait, are they still alive? Or?
So speaking of Ant, are you basically Savage Dragon as your focus right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of has to be. It's like if I just spread myself out and start doing all this ant shit, it's like, God, I'm never gonna get to 300, and I just need to get over that hump, just so I can be like, okay, finally.
Fair enough.
People have been busting my hump about that thing forever, and looking forward to it. Like, oh boy, what's this issue going to be all around?
Are you feeling the pressure of trying to meet expectations for? I mean, I know it's still far away, but it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, I do, and I know what I've got planned for it. Yeah. So we'll see, but yeah, there is a certain amount of, hey, this better be everything that I've got it built up in my brain that it's going to be. It's like, well, I don't know that I can do that, have it, because I think everybody's got some expectation about what's going to be and what. I expect that people had some preconceived notion of what's going to be in 275 for that matter. But
I feel like reading Dragon long enough, you start to learn to not have too many expectations.
Right.
Is one of the things that makes the book so much fun, is especially this issue. I didn't expect, you had Paul with the fin on one of the upcoming issues that has already been one of the covers for solicitations. We all saw it. It was staring us in the face. Nobody even considered that was Paul.
I thought that was a memory. That was a legacy memory floating in the background.
Yeah, I thought it was a legacy too.
That's what we all thought.
Yeah, yeah, it's
got one over on us.
Right?
After all these years, we still get fooled. But I assume, speaking of 300, as soon as you hit that mark, it must be liberating afterwards. There's no one's going to be on your case about, what about issue whatever.
I will.
Well,
when's 301 coming out? That's
we all want those issues, but they're not going to be compared to. Can you hit Dave Sims' mark or whatever?
Yeah, and I think at that point I'll probably put off the next 100-pager till 350, because it's like, Jesus, man.
There we go.
I didn't start off every 25 issues being some monstrous thing. I mean, I guess they were more than a regular comic, but
25 was double sized.
Yeah, 25 is.
Yeah.
I think 50 is it when you started.
50 was the
going
first
out of control.
pager.
Yeah, for a little while it was every 25-75 it would be a double size, and then the rest would be hundreds. But then at some point it all became 100s.
There was 115.
115. Was that?
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah,
100?
it
Or
was.
is that an 80 page? Because there's an 80 pager in there somewhere too.
I think I'm not. I don't think that was a 100 pager.
Could have been neat.
Nope, it was. 115 was a
Okay.
100 pager.
Was it 100?
All right.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
it was. I think
All right.
we might be thinking of the Fly issue. That may have not have been a 100 pager, but I don't know what
Okay.
issue that is.
The Fly issue. Yeah, me and Jim, we both agree that some of the best lettering was yours, Eric.
Yes. That's not sarcasm. That's for
Yeah,
real.
yeah, it's true. It's true. It's like,
Oh, in which one?
well, especially I would say especially 125
Yeah, 125.
around
Fly,
that era.
That era, you
Yeah.
were doing your own lettering.
Hand
for several
lettering?
issues. Hand lettering, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god.
And it was so
Yeah,
crunchy. It's
Last
awesome.
time I go like, oh, should I have those relettered for the archives?
No.
Yeah, that was a rough time for me.
Well, there's
What?
plenty of hand lettering in this issue then too, with that 24-hour.
Yeah.
So true.
That thing had
Yeah.
to be done lickety split. There was no time to screw around. It's like go. All right, now I'm looking at the Fly issue. Yeah, this is not well lettered, guys.
It's so crunchy.
Oh, I love it. What was his name? Mr. Bug, was that his name?
I think it works for the Fly.
It works fine in the Fly story. I think in the main story, it's a little.
It also has one of the best colored pages, I would say. You did the coloring on that one too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was doing everything.
You took a lot of cool liberties where like Dragon was great for a panel and stuff like that. Just kind of, I don't know. I loved it.
I love knockouts just in general.
Mhm.
So just doing a story where, hey, the characters are colored different than how they usually look for a panel. Well, cool. Like this stuff in 275 where the Herculean story. It's like,
Oh yeah.
there are pages and pages here where characters aren't their proper color at all.
It works.
It's like, as long as we've got one establishing shot of the hero and the villain, good enough.
Yeah, I wish I could have done that more with Kevin backup, but I just needed him to stand out as the blue guy a lot, so I was kind of stuck in that color trap. The whole gala scene was all red, lavish backgrounds. That's what I started doing, and afterwards I was like, "Ah, damn it! Like the other characters don't pop out as much," so I had to go back to beige, black and white. But anyway.
It all works.
I had a question for this issue, is because I read somewhere the printing paper was different. Was that just for the cover, or it felt?
Yeah,
different?
it's just for the cover. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know how different it is.
I like it. It's cool.
But in an ordinary issue, I can't do this paper on the cover. This is just for this special thing. Because it's 100-pager, man.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks.
Just to another 100 pages.
Uh,
Do you ever have an itch to try another 24-hour comic again? Or is it, I've done it now, I'm done, forget it?
I mean, the Fly story was essentially a 24-hour comic too.
Oh, I don't know if did we know that? Is it mentioned somewhere and I missed it?
No, but
No,
I
no,
just drew one panel.
Right.
Oh.
So I mean, it's like all the lettering. I wrote it on a plane ride from
I guess you're right, yeah.
San Francisco to New Jersey.
Well,
And
the clocks move, the coloring moves, the fly moves.
and it's the coloring changes a little bit,
Yeah.
but I mean the whole thing was drawn pretty quickly. Yeah, I mean the thing is, I think with those, it does definitely helps to have an idea in mind when you're doing stuff like that. Because if I was just making it up as I went, I don't know how much sense it would make.
It probably also helped that you had Chris in the room with you too, right?
He was
No?
doing his own.
Yeah.
He was doing his own thing, and he would just look over and go, "What? You're doing another full page picture?" And it's like, dude, I'm trying to get it done.
So
he got his done quicker than I got mine done.
He got to take a nap.
Yeah, well, he finished at hour 23. He was like, "I'm done." I was like, "Oh, damn." Oh. All right, man. Well, I still need to finish this. And I didn't color it at the time, of course. That came way later. But
did we ask where this Dave Johnson Super Patriot came from?
I think he did. Maybe he did it as a commission or something, and he had a copy of it, but it was posted online, and I was like, "Dude, let me print that." And he's like, "All right, let me add some color to it." But I think it's just nice that it ended up being in this issue.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because like, hey, it's the swan song of Super Patriot, and you're a guy who was completely associated with his character, and here you are. Thanks, man. So that worked out pretty nicely.
Any other questions, guys? Do we got anything else specific we want to ask? Because I think we've covered everything, really.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I mean, we'll always have more questions in the future, but it's just so exciting now that we're past that 275 hump. It's always exciting, but it gets more exciting once you get past the big anniversary issues.
I'm looking forward to what comes.
Is there anything you'd like us to plug for you, Eric? Anything specific? Anything?
No. I think I'd better not say any more than I have, really, because I can be like, oh, and then this happens, and this happens, and then it's like, shit, why did I say that? Now there's nothing to look forward to.
Yeah,
and I don't want to spoil things if I can not.
These next 4 issues that appear to be spotlighting the Dragon Kids. I mean, we're all really kind of excited to see the kids kind of get their time to shine as individuals. So I know you won't want to spoil anything about that, but just letting you know this is a really cool thing you're doing.
I mean, that basically was I didn't want to spoil anything in 275. So I was like, all right, well, let me not do covers that have these characters on them alive, for a few issues, just so that you're
Super Patriot isn't any of these. We should have known he was doomed.
or whatever. This could have been Angel's last issue. It could have been Malcolm's last issue. It could have been any one of them. And then that's the problem with just the nature of covers in general, is that you've always got somebody on there. You're like, oh, that guy survived. Shit, who knew?
Well, nobody saw Paul on those covers. No, not a single one of us recognized him.
No.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, I did it that way because with Malcolm on it, so that it would be like, hey, it's this legacy cover of this character, this character, this character. And then, it's fun times ahead.
You crafty son of a bitch. You got us all.
Woohoo!
Yeah, it's a great time to be a Dragon fan, for sure.
Yeah, you've been hitting them out of the park, just as far as speed, and the art's been looking fantastic, too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're still doing Twice Up?
Yeah, I'm still doing Twice Up.
Cool.
I'm back to doing Twice Up. The only things I'm not doing that big are the double page spreads, because those were just impossible to scan.
Yeah.
So the double page spreads are a little, they're still big, but they're not twice that big.
Right.
So, and I notice that but I'm hoping. I guess I shouldn't have said anything, but but like
you've ruined it.
When I look at like back in when I first started doing these, like 194 had some double page spreads that had some real scope to them. I don't think I can quite pull that off on the size I'm doing them now, but I do what I can. So
yeah. We could see people inside the windows on those buildings and those pages, right?
Right. Those are fun. I mean, it's cool to do, but they're just so unwieldy. And then it took like 9 scans to get every piece of it, and then Photoshop would put it all together, and it would still be kind of ugly.
And you have like a big A3 size scanner, right? That can do like a regular page, or you piecing together off of like a standard size scanner?
No, it's 11 by 17 bed, I guess.
Oh, and they're still huge. Okay.
So, the regular pages, the twice up pages, those are 4 scans each. So I'll just, it's very routine where it'll just be, okay, top, side, bottom, other side, just rotate it 4 times, and then is stitching it together tough? Because I can imagine if it's even slightly. Photoshop has something in it called photo merge, and it puts it all together. And then usually there's some things you need to look out for and go, oh, there's a step here that, and every now and then one of the pages will see print, and you'll see that, oh, that border has a slight jag in it that shouldn't be there.
It merges weird. Yeah.
So it's not always perfect, but it's usually pretty good. And then I'll come in afterward and do whatever fixes need to be done to make it beautiful. I'm now looking through this issue to see if there is one, but I'm not seeing one. But as I recall, there have been a couple that I've seen print, and it's like, oh, damn it. That and trying to work in word balloons in and under and around things is always a pain in the ass. But it's all good. This issue seems to have a lot of footnotes.
I thought it was maybe to get because obviously there's going to be a spotlight on it being an anniversary issue. Maybe get some new readers back in the book, or so they can have a point of reference. Or...
Yeah, so here you go, kids.
Yeah.
And hopefully there is enough setup, throughout the story that you go, oh, okay, at least I have an idea of who this guy is and what he's all about. It can get, if you give too much information, that can be bad too, because you're just overwhelmed with all this irrelevant crap. It's like I have Freak Force show up, but I don't think I have every one of them saying, "Hey, Barbaric, hey, Tart, hey, Rapture's daughter, whatever your name is."
Well, you used to do like those previously on like those little recap pages and the credits pages.
Yeah, I don't know how many people read those, or I know I don't in other people's comics.
Right.
And I always, when I do read them, I'm always not following along very well. I'm like, I don't understand what you're even talking about. What?
Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm trying to think of all the times I've seen them and haven't read them. And you're exactly right. What a waste of time.
Yeah, it's kind of a waste of time for everybody. And we're all like, oh, I don't need this. And ideally, the writer writing this stuff will put in enough information that what do you need to know? You know, I mean, in your story, when I'm sitting there reading this this story with Kevin, what do we need to know? Do we need to know that let's tie this back into Malcolm and Maxine? It's not really mentioned in here that, hey, this is Malcolm's half brother, and hey, this is Maxine's mom.
I mean, it does mention that on the Freak Hub the computer monitor, the website.
Right.
Yeah, everything you need is in there.
Yeah, that is. Best
That's
of
why.
all.
That's what.
Getting some extra-
Now that's good storytelling.
right?
Yeah, that's why
Environmental
I needed 16
storytelling.
pages. There you go.
Yeah, so you
Needed
there
to
you
get
go.
that in there.
But it's not. It's not. I think if that wasn't there, that people weren't going to be like, this story is worthless to me now. I forget. You know.
I mean, even the establishing shot at the start tells us we're still in Toronto, so we even get that bit to remind us.
Yeah.
Well, I think at the very least, if you're reading this, you've never read Savage Dragon before, you see this blue guy, you read that he's Savage Dragon's half-brother, you at least know that this takes place in the same continuity. It's not just a completely separate
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all
story.
you need to know.
Yeah, it's fine. You got it. Good job, Simon.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
All right.
Stuck the landing, buddy.
Damn. All right. My day is made. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So the only other weird Ravens, we got reprints of old stories that takes up a hunk of this. Fantastic Comics.
Yeah, and Raven's back cover. Well,
Yeah.
inside back cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I added the logo or whatever on there because it was kind of a square shape.
It works.
Fun page. Works all right.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, and the spit take right next to that.
It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Raven knows I do like to see Walter.
Well,
Oh, yeah, Walter's got a job interview in this one.
yeah, it's mentioned, so we don't see Walter at all. So next issue we can, I don't know,
Explore how it went.
we can explore how that goes and how his new life will unfold if there's a new life or whatever.
Or ignore it and never bring it up again.
Yeah,
That's
or-
comics, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, well, here's one way of getting this character out of it so I don't have to draw him. He's got a job interview. Forget it. He's not here for a tearful goodbye. It gets to this point where there's so many characters that are all hanging out together. It's like, oh my God, it's too much to keep track of it all.
Yeah, but it does feel like it's streamlined at least a little bit. I feel like it used to be a lot bigger. The cast, like the main cast.
In the old days, I think the
Yeah.
cast was massive,
Mhm.
especially during the Freak Force era and just after in that whole period. I think after the Savage World, things kind of thinned out a bit.
Yeah.
But now it's more
Yeah.
like there's just so many characters with fins on their head now because the family's just gotten so big, which is a great visual. But I can imagine it can get a little tedious.
Well, it gets complicated for the colorist because, you know, if all these characters kind of look somewhat alike, you know, Amy, when she's from behind, doesn't look that different from Maddie, you know, unless you can see her freckles. You know, with the other kids, I'm like, all right, well, this guy's always going to wear a striped shirt. This guy's always going to wear, you know, a not striped shirt. But I haven't really got, like, I need to work on something for the two girls to really differentiate them.
Yeah, especially now that Maddie's getting older, they're getting to be about the same height too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we're getting to a point where there will be other changes happening.
Oh.
All right. All right.
Well,
Uh-oh.
I mean, people, you know, you get to be 10 or 11, 12, suddenly your body goes through changes, and mom sits you down and has a nice little conversation about what's going on with you.
What a way to find out, right?
It's like, hey, by the way. Yeah.
So normal changes, not like
I mean,
Gary Carlson Image Comics Ninja Turtles changes.
Well, I mean, at what I really want to do later, way down the road, is to have one of them get kind of the buff Malcolm physique, and one of them to have more of Maxine's build. So it's like, okay, these two girls now look really different from each other physically, you know. So
just by their silhouettes, you can tell who's who.
Yeah, I would prefer that, where it's a definite, like, okay, these two aren't going to be mistaken for one another.
That makes sense. And that'll be really interesting to see when we get to it.
Yeah, it's tough. You can't rely on the normal stuff like hair color and hairstyle.
Right.
And
yeah, so you end up either having them wear the same clothes all the time,
right,
as your physical marker, or I don't know what else.
You do usually put them both in dresses, so
yeah,
they could stay in a dress a little differently. Maybe that would differentiate them.
eye patch. That's...
eye patch. Yeah, there you go.
The thing about dragons, though, eye patches don't stick. Hook hands don't stick.
Well, also it's tough to deal with that fin on his head. It's like, how do I wrap this around him? I can't put a hat on him. I can't do all the normal stuff that you could do.
Well, he folds it. He can fold it up. I saw him fold it and put it in his football helmet.
Yeah, it does squish over. Although I imagine it would be like having your ear folded forward. You're like, this is not comfortable.
You can do it, but it sucks.
Like you just pull it off. I'm sure it would grow back in 24 hours.
It'll be back before dinner time.
Just soft tissue. It's just soft tissue.
Yeah, whatever. I don't need this. You think I need this? I don't.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for this. I think
all right, man.
We really appreciate you coming on, Eric. We always appreciate you coming on, and we're definitely not going to wait 2 years to have you on again.
All right.
That's a promise I make to myself and others.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
Just make it mark the calendar, like this month is always Eric month.
And thank you, Simon, for coming on to cover for Craig and to give us your insight into your backup. I mean, that's great to learn about, find out about, straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
My pleasure.
Yeah, it's good talking to you all. And we'll be in touch, right?
Oh, yeah. We'll be talking.
We'll talk to you next week when we record again.
All right, guys.
All right, Eric, you have a good night.
Take care.
I'll talk to you later. All right.